Okay, I had some people asking me on Facebook about the Mestra hydraulic oil press, and so I thought I'd run a quick review just to show you what I do with it and why I like it, and we could go from there. So anyways, I can use it for two different types of flasks. I can use it for a conventional type of flask, a brass flask, and you can also use it with the microwave flask. In fact, it works great for the microwave flask because you can control the pressure. And the big thing is about controlling the pressure, and how fast we pressurize these flasks when we close them really has a lot to do with the final result and how well it's packed. Anyway, let's run through the conventional flask first. It's really quite easy. Kit comes with one of these blocks. It basically secures the platform to the spindle. You can put that to the side and keep it for shipping or whatever you're going to move the thing. You don't really have to leave it in there when you're not using it. I just put it there because that's a good place to stow it. The flask though, brass flask, let's make believe for a second, and we've done all of our presses, and we've now going to do our final closure, and we're going to press it. Instead of putting it underneath the flask press and closing it like this, what we need to do is we need to put it in something so that once the pressure is brought up to the final packing pressure, we have to have a way to maintain that pressure. That's why this unit works well with an accompanying part that I purchased through Mestra. Now let me show you what that is. That's this clamp. This clamp has two bolts with nuts on either end, and you can slide your final closure in here first before you make your final closure, and then what you do is you place it inside of the platform. You have to open it up a bit so you can get it in there. Alright, I wasn't prepared for class. Try to center it between the center posts and make sure that you center it under this plunger. Now, what you do is you take and you close it down and cinch it. What that does is secures the platform to here, and then what I do is I take and I turn the nuts like this and I get them hand tightened. Then you close the valve. This is the valve. And then you take the pump handle and you go, I take it almost to the top and I bring it down, but not all the way to the bottom. The reason I don't do that is because there is a C-clip right there, and I don't want to beat that up real bad. I only want to go so far. So what I'll do is I'll start to pump it, and you'll notice now I'm starting to get some pressure. So remember, this is going to be our final closure, and you can see that I've turned those nuts till they won't turn. And then I'll pump it up to my final closure. In this case, final closure for me is 2,500 pounds. Right about there. In the red are the pounds, and bar is in black on that dial. Just to show you, see how they've loosened up some more? They're in place. Pressure's on. Bolts are down. And then what I do is I take, I think you fellows across the pond call this an adjustable spanner, and I take it and I just crank it about a 1/16 just to cinch it. It doesn't really you don't have to do any more pressing because it's going to hold it in place. Okay, once I've done that 1/16 or so turn, I can then open the valve, take off the pressure, I can put the handle down, and now I can take it and remove it. At this point, this whole rascal goes right into the hot water bath, and then you're brought up to temperature and you can do your curing. But the nice thing is that I didn't have to take that off the pressure to put it in a flask holder and then retighten it with the flask holder. It's pressed and it's final closed while it's under pressure, and it never comes off that final closure pressure. I just found it I get much better fitting appliances. I get compliments that my stuff fits real well. Never had any complaints that it didn't to begin with, but I've had some that people have said, boy, that case really fit great. I say it has a lot to do with impression technique, but I'll take it. You know, if you want to compliment me on my technique in the lab, I'll take that as well. I keep about 6 of these around. I do each arch individually with them, and it works great. While we're showing how to use that, I also wanted to show you that on your final closure with a GC FRP flask, and this is you've seen my other videos on this, this is the flask we use for microwave curing, and as you know, I'm doing a lot of microwave curing, and it's great. It's 3 minutes to cure and 45 minutes to cool for a grand total of 48 minutes, and I'm breaking it out in 48 minutes and I'm finishing it, and it has most of the benefits, if not all the benefits, of heat cure, because it is heat cure. It's just that microwave energy is what produces the heat and not hot water. So let's pretend that we've done our final closure. We're going to do our final closure, and we've closed the flask, and now what we have to do is we have to press it for that final pressure pack pressure. So what I do is I take and I center it over the top of the platform, and I turn the handle down, and what I like to do is I'm going to have to turn these nuts. So what I've done is I'll make sure that I can turn them all without any interference before I tighten them down. You may have noticed I have a black line all the way around. I took a black Sharpie and drew a circle around. That way I know how to center it every time I use this flask. At this point I take and I just finger tighten the nuts down, and then I close the valve again on my press, and then I take and I begin to pressurize. And as soon as I start to move the needle, I just make sure that I go nice and slow so there's nice even pressure. Just to show you, I can grab these nuts and they're turning already because I'm compacting this. Again. And on this flask in particular, I don't go any higher than 2,000 psi. So they're at 2,000, and you can see they turned again just a little bit. Now, at this point, what I'll do is I have figured out that it is a number 19 in the metric. I take my little metric wrench and I take and I just tweak it just a little bit, not very much, about a 1/16 again, just enough to cinch it closed up here. It's being held in this position. Now the nice thing is that once that's done, I can open the valve, take the pressure off, and these flasks, because of the bolt and nut situation, hold that last pressing closed. I don't have to take it out and put it in any kind of flask compress because it's intimate already with that last packing. That's what makes this such a great design, and I think one of the reasons why microwave curing, the research has all indicated that I've read in the Journal of Prosthetic Dentistry, that they fit as good as, or not better, or even better than conventional pack pressing. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they were comparing this flask against the conventional brass flask, where you had to transfer it and put it into a flask holder. And again, with that pressure on and that final pressing, and without removing it, it imparts a much nicer fit. There's flasks on the market that are $350, $400 or better in brass flasks, the Jörg Stuck flasks, and they have bolts and built into the flasks such like this, and again, while it's under pressure, that's when you tighten the bolts. So there is a big benefit to it. Anyways, a couple of you guys had asked about this, had private messaged me about the press, wanted to know more about it. It's from Mestra, M-E-S-T-R-A, and I just wanted to show you why I use it and the benefits that I'm finding by using it. Anyways, I hope you found that beneficial, and we'll talk to you.